Hello, it's Monica from Educk.org, and today I will show you how to create visualization in V-Ray for SketchUp. I prepared a scene. This is a living room, and let's take a look at the project. I will expand the tab. This is called tags, and here we have several tags or layers, and as we can see, our building is divided into several layers. Thanks to this, we have a control over our project. We can hide or unhide the slab, or interior walls, or exterior walls. During the webinar, we'll use materials from the library. They are in the description of the video. I have it here, and I'm using the living room file. So if you want to work with me, just open this file and start to create a visualization. I prepared some lights, textures, and models. We'll use them during the webinar. Today I will focus on the living room visualization, so I prepared the scene here. The first thing to do is to create the scene of the interior. I zoom in with the scroll wheel, I rotate, just hold down the middle mouse button, and try to find a proper scene. Then I go to the Camera tab and select 2-point perspective. Now we have vertical lines. I'll move the scene a little bit. I will check the field of view. It's here, Camera tab and field of view. Our field of view is 35 degrees. This is okay. If we have narrow room, for example, bathroom, then I can increase the field of view to 50 or 60 degrees. I will check the height of the camera. I click on the eye icon on the left side. This is look around. And the eye height is 115 centimeters. I will change the height to 130. And looks fine. Let's save the scene. I go to the Scene tab, it's on the right side, and I click on the plus icon. And I have Scene 1 in my project. It's on the right side and in the upper left corner. So if I zoom out and change the camera view, I can always go back to the Scene 1. Okay, let's move on to the V-Ray for SketchUp. If you want to work with V-Ray for SketchUp, then you have to turn on V-Ray icons. To do this, just right-click on the toolbar on the top. I right-click and choose V-Ray for SketchUp. I have new icons, and I also right-click and select V-Ray Lights. These are the most important icons for V-Ray, and it will be much easier to work with V-Ray using these V-Ray icons. The most important V-Ray icon is Asset Editor. It's located in the upper left corner. It's here, Asset Editor. I click on it, and I have a new Asset Editor window. Here we can create new materials, lights, render settings, render elements, and create a visualization in V-Ray. Let's focus on the Asset Editor because this is the most important panel in V-Ray. I click on the first icon. This is Materials. Here we have created materials, and I have two materials in the scene. That's why I have them in V-Ray Asset Editor. If I want to check properties of a specific material, then click on the right arrow, and I have properties of this material. This is diffuse, reflections, or bumps. On the left side, we have additional window, and this is the V-Ray material library. Here we have a lot of categories of ready materials which we can use. The next tab is light. Here we have lights in the scene. The default light is sunlight. We can turn it on or turn it off. If the sun icon is grayed out, it means that the sunlight is turned off. I want to turn it on. I click on the icon, and it's turned on. I click on the sunlight, and on the right side I have properties of this light. We'll create many additional lights during this webinar. The third very important tab is Render Settings. This is this icon. And here we can choose render engine, quality of the visualization, render output, resolution of the image, and camera settings. Firstly, I will set up the render engine. We can use CPU. This is computer processor. We have CUDA. This is graphic cards. And RTX. This is RTX graphic cards. I will use computer processor, so I choose CPU. If you have graphic cards on your computer, then you can click on CUDA, click on the three dots, and choose your graphic card. Now it's time to choose the type of the rendering process. We can choose interactive render. I will turn it on. And now we'll have a scene preview in real time. Let's check it. I click on the render icon, I click on it, and now a new window appeared. This is a V-Ray frame buffer. As I said before, this is a real-time preview. So if I move an object, for example this coffee table, I move it up, and I can see this change in V-Ray frame buffer. I undo this, and again the coffee table is on the floor. This is the first time of rendering process. And if you have a simple scene with few materials and with one light and only 5 furniture, then this interactive render works very well. But if you have a more complicated scene, then you can notice a lot of noise in the preview, and this interactive render will not work very well. So, if you have a very fast and efficient computer, you can use this interactive render. But if your computer is not very good, then you can meet some problems and V-Ray will be very noisy and very slow, so it's a good idea to change this rendering process. I turn off this visualization, I click on the icon with red square, and I go back to Asset Editor. Instead of using interactive render, we can use progressive render. This is a very fast preview, but it's not real live preview. I use progressive render very often if I want to check the result of my visualization very fast. Just turn off the progressive render and click on the render icon. As we can see, the visualization is created very fast. I turn it off, and it's done. Here I have quality of the render. For now, I will leave a medium or low quality. For final visualization, remember to change the quality to high or medium plus. Also, if you want to create a final visualization, the best idea is to turn off interactive render and turn off progressive render. Then the quality of the visualization will be the highest. But now I will turn on progressive render and set the quality to medium. The next very important thing is denoiser. It should be turned on. When the denoiser is turned on, the noise in the visualization is removed. Then we have camera settings, and here we have exposure value. This is the brightness, the exposure of our visualization. So if the value of the exposure is lower, then we'll have a lighter visualization. If the value of the exposure is higher, then we'll have a darker visualization. I will change the value to 30. And let's check the visualization with changed exposure value. As we can notice, the scene is brighter. Okay, the next very important thing is render output. This is a resolution of our visualization. For now, this is 1200 pixels to 675 pixels. For preview visualizations, this is okay, but if you want to create final visualization, you should change this value to 3000 or 2500 pixels. I will leave as it was before. Here we have aspect ratio, but firstly I will turn on save frame. And let's notice that when the save frame is turned on, we have a darker areas here at the top and at the bottom. These are the areas which will not be rendered. I change the aspect ratio to square. And let's see the difference. The left side and the right side will not be visible on the visualization. So if you want to create an image, it's good to turn on the save frame. I will change the aspect ratio to 60:9, and these are the most important render settings in V-Ray. It's time to move on to lights. I go to the Asset Editor and the Lights tab. As we can see, by default, every SketchUp scene has a sunlight as the main source of light. We can use these lights, but a better option will be to use a different light, dome light. This is a very interesting light, and thanks to it, our interior will look good. To create a dome light, just click on this icon, dome light, and place the light somewhere in the scene. It can be here in the interior or somewhere outside the living room, for example here. And notice that we have a new position in the Asset Editor. This is dome light. Remember to turn off sunlight, because I will not use that sun in the scene. I turned off. And let's focus on the dome light. Firstly, we need to upload HDRI map. To do this, we need to download it from the internet. Just go to the website, and the best website with HDRI maps is polyheaven.com. Here we have free HDRI maps, textures, and models. Let's check the HDRI maps. As we can see, we have many types of lights, depending on how we want to illuminate the scene of the interior. If you want to download HDRI map, just click on it, for example Alps field, and click Download. That's it. I downloaded few HDRI maps. They are in the material library. Just open this folder, and here we have 4 types of lights. You can choose whatever you want. I switch to SketchUp. I go to the Color Texture HDR. I click on the texture slot here. I click on the Open File icon and look for a HDRI map. I will choose this light with the name Road. I open it, and as we can see, it's uploaded into our project. Now I go to the previous asset, and the light is updated. Now we have to set up some properties. The most important one is intensity. Mostly we need to increase this value, for example to 100 or 150. With the higher value, this light will illuminate the scene very well. So I increase this intensity. The second very important thing is to change the shape of the light from hemisphere to sphere. Okay. And now we can check the visualization. I render. Our scene is created, and as we can see, the interior is very bright. It's too bright. This is because we haven't created yet any V-Ray material. We have only SketchUp materials in the scene. That's why we need to go to the Asset Editor, to the Render Settings, and turn on Material Override. I expand this tab. I turn on this option, and now every single model will be covered with white V-Ray material. So remember, the first step to create photorealistic visualization is to set up light. But it's very important to set up light with V-Ray material. At the beginning, we don't have any V-Ray material in the scene. That's why I turn on Material Override to have all models in the scene covered with white V-Ray material. And now, when I render the scene, I can notice that the light in the interior looks much more realistic. I think that the interior looks much better now. When we created the dome light, we have surrounding environments outside the building, and the light from outside the building goes through the windows to the interior. We can also change the position of a dome light. Just go to the Light tab, Dome Light, and click on the Texture slot. Then I go to the Texture Placement tab, and here we have Rotate Edge, and we can rotate the map horizontally. I think that the best idea will be to switch to Interactive Render. I go to the Render Settings and turn on Interactive Render. I render, and having this real-life preview I can rotate the dome light. When I rotate the dome light, the light in the interior is also changed. Sometimes the scene is lighter and sometimes it's darker. As you can notice, my interactive rendering doesn't work very well. There is a lot of noise in the scene. That's why I'll turn off that render process. Go to the render settings, change it to progressive render, and check the visualization again. As we can notice, the scene is very bright, and sometimes it's too bright in some places. For example, here we have overexposures. So I expand the right side tab. I go to the exposure. We can turn it on or click on the layer icon and choose exposure. I have exposure in my scene, and we can increase the exposure or decrease it. We can also decrease the highlight burn. It's very important to use it because thanks to it, there is no burnouts in the scene and it looks much better. We can also increase the contrast a little bit. Okay, let's create additional lights. These will be rectangle artificial lights. I go to the SketchUp and create new kind of light, rectangle light. I click on it and I place this rectangle light in the suspended ceiling. I expand the text tab. I hide slab, and now it will be much easier to create rectangle light. This is my first light. I need to change the direction of this light, so I right click, flip along, components blue, and now the light has a proper direction. The rectangle light should be a little bit below the slab here. And I create another rectangle light. It will be here. Okay. And also I flip it along the blue axis and move it down. Okay, fine. I go to the scene 1, and now let's change the rectangle light settings. Here we have two lights, rectangle light and rectangle light 1. Just click on the rectangle light and select objects in scene, and as we can see, rectangle light is this light above the couch, and rectangle light 1 is this light on the left side. We can change properties of this light. I click on the rectangle light and change the color. I click on the white icon, and here we have Kelvin temperature. I want to warm this color a little bit, 4500 kelvins, and I will do the same here. I change the temperature of the light. Okay. For now, I will leave the intensity of the rectangle light as 30, but what is very important is to turn off the visibility of this white plane. So I go to the rectangle light, options, and turn on invisible. Thanks to it, this white plane of a light will be not visible. I do it again here, invisible, and the effect of the rectangle light will be much better when there is no white plane. I go to the scene 1 and let's check the results. As we can see, the rectangle lights are in the scene. It looks very good. We can notice this yellow light at the suspended ceiling. I will increase its intensity. For example, to 60. I can change this intensity here in this place and also here to 60. Let's render. The visualization is created and the rectangle lights are much more intense. The lights are set up properly. We can move on to materials. Let's create the first material in the scene. I go to the asset editor. I click on the material tab and now I create a new material. To create a new material, just click on this material icon, right-click, and we can choose a material to create. The other option to create material is click on the Create Asset icon, left-click, Materials, and I will create the most commonly used material, generic material. I will rename it to V-Ray White Wall. Okay, now I will expand the panel. And as we can see, this is a preview of our material. I can change this preview. Just click on three dots here, and I can change the preview. For example, fabric or floor, ground, depending on what kind of material I want to create. For now, the best preview will be generic. Let's take a look at the Diffuse tab. This is a color or a texture of the material. Diffuse is a base color of an object. I can choose a color or upload a texture. This time I want to create white wall. That's why I click on the color icon and the new color panel window appeared. Firstly, I will change the range. For now it's from 0 to 1. I will change it from 0 to 255. This range is much more convenient for me because in Photoshop it's similar color range. And now I can choose every color I want. I can see the changes, the sample. This time I want to create white wall and I'm trying to find a perfect color. Something around 230 in RGB color modes. I don't use completely white or black color because in real world there are almost never such colors. So I try to choose something in between. I think that this color looks fine, so I close this window and I have white color of the wall. The next tab is reflection. In real world, almost every material reflects a different level of light. Here we have reflection color, this is intensity of the reflection, and reflection glossiness, this is the sharpness of the reflection. If I increase the reflection color, we can notice that the light is highly reflected. If I decrease this slider, then there is no reflection in the material. So I will change the reflection color. We can notice on the sample that the sample reflects the light, and I choose something around 120. We can notice that the sample reflects the light. Just remember, if the reflection color is black, there is no reflection at all. If the reflection color is white, we have a maximum value of reflection. Let's move on to reflection glossiness. This is the sharpness of the reflection. If it's set to 1, we have a perfect mirror-like reflection, but if I decrease this value, then the reflection is blurry. So we can choose the amount of reflection glossiness. For wall, a good value is 0.7 or 0.75. But we can create even much more realistic material by uploading reflection glossiness texture. I prepared the texture. Just go to the material library, and here I have a texture wall reflection. Let's take a look. As we can see, in this texture we have white areas and dark areas. When we have white areas, the reflection glossiness will be sharp. In the places where we have dark areas, the reflection glossiness will be blurry. So in some places it will be sharper, and in other darker places it will be blurry. Thanks to this, we'll have a different and very realistic effect. To upload this texture, just click on the texture slot. This is this icon. Left click, bitmap, and upload wall reflection texture. I open it, it's uploaded, and I go to the previous asset. Okay, it's done. Now I can apply this material to the walls, to the suspended ceiling, and to the floor. I expand the material tray, click on the newly created material, and apply it to the walls, floor, and suspended ceiling. Let's go to the Edit tab, and we can notice that I cannot change the size of this material. Let's take a look at the asset editor. We uploaded a reflection glossiness texture, but it's not possible to see how this texture is mapped on this material because I have only white color preview. To fix this, just go to the bottom, expand the binding tab, and here we have some option. Just go to the texture mode. This is the preview of the texture. For now it's set as auto. I expand this and change it to custom mode. Now I can upload the texture of the preview. To do this, I go up. I will copy this texture, right click, copy, and paste this texture here in the texture slot. Right click, paste as copy. And now my preview is this texture from the reflection glossiness, and I can see how it is mapped on the wall. We can notice that the texture is too small, but thanks to the change of the preview, we can notice that now I can change the size of the texture. For now it's 25 centimeters. I will change it to 254 centimeters. And now it looks correctly. So remember, if you have a wall material and in diffuse tab is just a color, and additionally you uploaded the texture in reflection glossiness or in the bump, you should check the preview of this material. So go to the binding tab, change the texture mode, and upload your custom texture. Thanks to this, you can change the size of the material on the model. Okay, it's done. Then I go to the settings. I will turn off material override option. I don't need this anymore. And let's render. As we can notice, the wall material looks very good in the visualization. Let's move on to the next material. The next material will be floor. I go to the Material tab, then Create Asset, Material, and again I create Generic Material. Let's open the Material Library, and here I created a floor texture. I will use it in the Diffuse tab. This time I click on the texture slot, left click, bitmap, and I upload the floor diffuse texture. I open it, I go to the previous settings, and it's uploaded. The next very important tab is reflection. This time I will increase the color to something in the middle, but I need to change reflection glossiness. I can decrease it or upload a map. This time I don't have any map for the reflection glossiness, but I will use a map from the Diffuse tab. I will copy it, right click, copy, and then right click on the texture slot in the reflection glossiness and paste as copy. Let's take a look at the texture in the reflection glossiness. For now, it's the texture from the Diffuse tab. I need to change it because for reflection glossiness, I should use mostly a gray light map. I will change it. I go to the previous settings, and to change the color, saturation, the brightness of a texture, we can use color correction option. Just right click on the texture slot, rub in, and choose color correction. Thanks to it, we can change the properties of the texture. I will decrease the saturation to -1, and now the texture is grayed out. And I will increase the brightness, and it's light gray color. Okay, it's done. I go to the previous asset, and it's uploaded. Now I can apply this material to the floor. But for now I have only slab, so I need to model a new floor. To do this, I click on the rectangle tool and create rectangle on the slab. This is the first rectangle. Then I will create a bigger rectangle here. somewhere to this point, just to have it on the visualization. And I will delete the line which divides the rectangles. I select it and press delete. Okay, we have one big plane. Then I go to the push-pull tool and I pull up this plane by 2 millimeters. Okay, we have a thickness of the floor. Let's group this floor. I click 3 times on the floor, right-click, and make group. Now I can apply my material to the group. To do this, I will open the group, select the plane, and apply this material to the selected plane. I click on it, and it's uploaded. Let's take a look. As we can see, the material is too small, so I will change the size of this material. I will change it a little bit, and looks fine. I will change the direction of the floor. To do this, I click twice to open the group, select the plane. Remember that previously I applied the material to one plane. That's why I can rotate this texture. If I apply the material into the whole group, I couldn't rotate that material. Remember to apply the material to only one plane. Now I select the plane, right-click, and I have an option texture. I choose position, and I can change the position of the texture. I can also rotate this texture by 90 degrees. Just right-click, rotate 90, and the texture is rotated. I press Enter on the keyboard. It's done. Let's check the visualization. The render is created, and we can notice that the floor material works very well in the visualization. Next to the window, we have a lighter material, and on the left side, the material is darker due to the fact that the material reflects the light. Let's move on to the next material. It will be marble. I click on the asset editor and create a new material called marble. I rename it, and I will use a texture which I prepared in the material library. It's here, marble texture. I go to the Diffuse tab, click on the texture slot, and choose bitmap. I upload the marble texture. I open it, and it's uploaded. As we know, marble highly reflects the light. That's why I go to the reflection color and set the reflection color value to almost white color, something around 200 in RGB color mode. In the reflection glossiness, I can slightly decrease this value to 0.9. And it's done. A new material is created. Now I can upload it to the coffee table, to the top part of the furniture, click on the material icon, and apply it to selection. As we can see, we need to increase the size of the material, and looks fine. Next material to create is carpet material. But firstly, I need to import a carpet model to my project. Just go to the library, and here I have a carpet I downloaded from the 3D warehouse. To import this model to the living room, just drag this file to the project and wait a while. I have a carpet in the living room, and now I need to position it in the right place. I will move it a little bit. Okay, it's time to create material for the carpet. I go to the asset editor and create a new material, V-Ray carpet. I will use a texture from the materials library. This is a texture, but to obtain more realistic effect, I will use fall off map. I use fall off map very often when I create fabric textures. To do this, just go to the Diffuse tab, click on the texture slot, And then, instead of choosing bitmap, go to the fall-off map. It's almost at the bottom. I click on it, and I have a fall-off option. To understand how the fall-off map works, just go to the previous asset, and we can notice when the two colors are set in the fall-off map, we have a gradient between the white and black color. I go to the fall-off map, and in color A we have black color, in color B we have white color. I will upload the texture in the color A, and it will be a darker texture. In the color B, I will upload the same texture, but I will increase the brightness of this material. Then we'll obtain a gradient between the darker and lighter material. Let's do it. In the color A, I click on the texture slot and choose bitmap. I open the carpet texture and go to the previous asset. In the color B, I do the same. Click on the texture slot and bitmap. I open the same map. But to change the brightness of this texture, we can do this in a very simple way. Just go to the color space, and here we have screen space. I will change it to custom gamma curve. Thanks to it, I can change the brightness of this texture. If I increase this value, the texture is lighter. If I decrease this value, it's darker. I want to increase this value to 0.6. And now I have two textures, darker and lighter textures. And when I go to the previous asset, that in some places we have darker areas and in another places lighter areas. This is how we create a carpet. But now I will create additional effect. It will be bump. Using bump, we can add extra detail to the material. Just go to the bump map, and here I can upload the texture. Click on the texture slot and choose Noise B. And now I can decrease the size of the noise. Something around 0.01. When I go to the previous asset, we can notice that on the sample we have a bump effect. We can notice the structure of the carpet. If I increase the amount to 2 or to 20, we can see the effects. I will increase the size of the bump to see the difference. And let's notice what the sample looks like with a bump map. This effect is too strong, so I'll decrease the amount. And I will decrease the size of the noise to 0.02 or 0.01. And it's done. Now we know how to use a bump tab. Okay, I will apply this texture to the carpet and let's check it on the render. Unfortunately, this texture does not look correctly on the carpet. It looks very bad. This is because the carpet or a sofa or a couch or armchair, these models have very complicated geometry, so sometimes it's hard to map this texture properly, but we can solve this problem. To do this, we need to use a plugin. It's called SketchUV. Just go to the extension SketchUp.com and find the SketchUV plugin. Just log in to download this plugin and install it in SketchUp. This plugin is very easy to use. The first, very important thing is to change the view. I go to the carpet group, I click 2 times, then I go to the View tab, Component Edit, and turn on Hide Rest of the model. Thanks to it, I have only carpet in the scene. I change the view to Top View. You can click on the top icon or go to the camera, standard views, and choose top view. I have a top view and open the carpet group. I need to click a few times to open it and select one plane. To map this texture correctly, just click on the SketchUV mapping tools I click on it. Then I right-click on the carpet and I choose Planar Map. I click on it. I will again click on the V-Ray carpet material and apply it to the surface. Sometimes I need to do it again. I click on the SketchUp UV mapping tools, right-click, Planar Map, and now it will be fine. Okay, it's fine. Remember that planar mapping is a view-based mapping method. The projection of mapping depends on your current camera view, so it's important to align the camera with the selection. I go to the scene 1. I come a little closer, and let's check the render. And as we can see, the carpet looks very good on the render. Let's create another material. This time I will use V-Ray material library. To do this, just expand the tab on the left and wait a second. On the left side, we have many categories and V-Ray materials which we can use in the scene. If you are using V-Ray 6, then you can find materials in Chaos Cosmos. This time, I will find the metal gold materials, so I go to the metal category and find a proper material. It will be gold 10K. To use this material, I just drag it to the right side and I have it in the scene. I will apply this material to the coffee table and also to the paintings. For now, I created this material to the whole painting, but I will change it right now. Okay, it's done. Remember that if you are using material from V-Ray library, you can always change the properties of the material. Just go, for example, to the Reflection tab and you can change its properties. For now, it's not necessary. Okay, it's time to create paintings. I move closer to the paintings, double-click to select only one plane. Then I click on the file, import, and I import the first texture, which is called Painting 1, and I use this image as the texture. I import it. Okay, and now I click 2 times. I will click somewhere here and here. It doesn't really matter. And now I will change the position of the texture. I will increase its size and position. It's fine. Then I go to the second painting, I select the surface, File, Import, and select a second texture. I click 2 times, and then right-click, Texture, Position, and I position it as well. Okay, it looks fine. I press Enter. Now I will change the properties of these 2 textures. Just go to the Asset Editor, click on the Painting 1, and add some reflection. I want to create the impression that there is a protective glass in front of the painting. So, I increase the reflection color, decrease glossiness, and I will do the same in the Painting 2 texture. Increase the reflection color and decrease reflection glossiness. It's done. Let's check the render. The visualization looks very well. Now I will change the view to a more attractive one. And additionally, I will add books on the coffee table and pillows on the sofa to obtain more interesting effect. Firstly, I go to the material library and I drag a book file to the project. Okay, it's in the scene. I place it on the coffee table. I need to move it a little bit upward. And it's fine. Let's check the materials of the imported elements. I click on the Paint Bucket tool, press Left Alt, and click on the book. And I can find a proper texture. Here I can check if the proper texture is uploaded. I click on the texture slot And we can notice that there is orange circle with exclamation mark. That's why I need to upload this texture again. I have it in my material folder, I open it, and this orange circle disappeared. And I will do the same with other materials. And it's fine. Okay, and I will import pillows. I prepare them for this webinar. I drag it to the project and wait. The pillows are in the scene. I need to place them correctly. Let's rotate them. And place in the right location on the sofa. I need some time to do this precisely. It's good to move them along the axis, red, green, or blue axis. Thanks to it, it will be much more accurate. I will explode this group to have two separate models, to have two separate pillows. Okay, it's fine. Now it's time to change the view. I zoom in. I change the height of the camera. Just click on the look around icon and change the height to 130. I need to move it, zoom in or zoom out. And it's time to change the aspect ratio. That's why I go to the asset editor, render settings, render output, and here I can change the aspect ratio to 4:3. And it looks much better. Now I need to change the field of view. For now it's 58 degrees. I will change it to 35, then it looks much better. Okay, change the height of the camera. And try to find the proper view. Remember to change the camera to 2-point perspective. And it looks fine. I update the scene, just right click and update. Before I create this visualization, I go to the asset editor. After creating visualization, I want to have control over the lights in the scene. That's why I go to the render elements, left click, and create light mix. Thanks to this, in post-production, we can increase the intensity of every light in the scene. And now I can go to the render settings. This time I will create the final visualization. That's why I turn off progressive render to obtain the best results. I increase the quality to medium plus or high, and I increase the resolution of the image. 2000 will be fine. And let's render. As we can notice, the render is created and it looks very fine. We can also improve the quality of the visualization. Just go to the tab on the right side, and here we have some layers. Previously, we created exposure layer. Here we can increase or decrease the exposure, change the highlight burn, and change the contrast. And I will create additional layer. It will be white balance. And here I can change the temperature of the visualization. The next layer can be curves. Here I can change the brightness and contrast of the visualization. Just click in the lower left corner of the graph and in the upper right corner. And here we can change the visualization. Okay. It can be something like this. We also created render elements called light mix. That's why I can click on the light mix. And here I can change the intensity of each light. The lights in the scene are dome light, rectangle light, and rectangle light 2. I can turn off rectangle light 1 and we can see a difference. You can choose if you want to turn on or turn off these lights. We can also increase or decrease the intensity of the dome light. For example, I can decrease the dome light intensity to 0.8. Okay, we can save this scene. Just click on the disk icon and save a current channel. I will save it in the Materials folder as a JPEG file, and I save it. And in this way, we created visualization. If you want to learn more about V-Ray and SketchUp, I invite you to SketchUp V-Ray visualization course. During the course, I will show you how to create V-Ray materials, create lights, and obtain the highest quality visualization. Check out my website, educk.org.